It's pretty crazy to be back here. This was my primary school. I was probably about 10 or 11 at the time, and I still remember this place right here was where one of the times when I was bullied. So I was probably about 10 or 11, and I was a little bit chubby as a kid, but you know, they'd called me names and called me fat, and I think that was just one of the times that sowed a seed in my life that, you know, would spiral pretty much down a dark path. I was already struggling with my weight at the time, and for somebody to say words like that, it was just really hurtful, especially at such a young age. You know, it was something I really couldn't get past and I couldn't shake, and I felt like I needed to do something about it, which is what I did. I started to exercise a little bit more. I started running and I started cutting back and watching what I was eating, and it wasn't too long, probably two weeks to a month, where I started to lose weight. And not only that, I was starting to get comments that I was looking great. So it just fed my desire to get the approval from other people on what they thought of me, and food pretty much became my obsession. I started counting calories and I started exercising more. It just became more and more, and it was never enough. And that's when it just developed into an eating disorder. Within the first year, I was anorexic, so it meant that I didn't eat much, and I would constantly be doing exercise. I would go to sleep counting calories. I would think about what I would eat when I woke up the next day. And yeah, it just got out of control. And then it turned into bulimia, which meant that if I did go over my calories and I felt like I hadn't exercised enough, that was when I would bring up my food. My mum just, you know, it must have been really hard for her because she didn't know how to help me, even though she tried her best. And I would go to psychologists and dietitians, that just nothing was helping. The obsession had taken over, and I was very strong-willed and very independent as well, so I didn't really talk about it. I didn't want to talk about it to anybody. I would lock myself in my bedroom. I would make sure it was dark. I would put my headphones in and just listen to sad music and pretty much cry, because the pain that I was feeling was so great. I didn't know how to escape it, and the only way to escape it was to block out everybody and everything and just close my door and hope that it would go away. But it didn't go away, and I felt like I was trapped. I felt like a dark cloud had entered the room, and to escape was to end my life, pretty much. And I'm so thankful that I didn't choose that path, but you know, that was something that I really felt strongly at that time, and I just really felt like there was no way out. I literally didn't know what to do from there. And then at the age of 16, I moved away from home. So I did my schooling in the city. I did my year 11 and 12. Being away from home and also just struggling with my depression and anxiety, and to escape my reality was to go out and binge drink and go to clubs and hang out with friends, because I felt like I was happy. I felt like that was a sense of I'm successful and I'm laughing and having fun. But in reality, when I would go home, I would still be the same old depressed, crying myself to sleep and just really not happy. I felt like I had it under control, that I could control it, that it was a part of me. So I kind of held on to this eating disorder was me, and this is who I am, and I don't need to change. I had a friend that invited me to church, and you know, I had grown up in church my whole life. I knew about God. I knew all the stories in the Bible, but I kind of felt that God was distant and He wasn't relevant. He was old. He didn't want to be a part of my life, and I didn't understand how much He actually loved me and how much He actually cared. I didn't remember the message that was preached. I didn't remember the songs that were on at the time, but what I do remember was the pastor inviting the people to know Jesus. And before I knew it, I was up the front. I was saying a prayer to a God that created me. And literally it was the first time that I had felt unconditional love. I felt like somebody could hear my voice and hear my pain, and I literally felt like I had let everything go that I had been feeling for all these years, and it was just such an amazing feeling to finally feel peace. I had come back to the country for an Easter break, and I remember my younger brother saying that there was these cool freestyle riders, you know, doing tricks out somewhere in the sticks somewhere. Within 5 minutes of meeting each other, we've been inseparable ever since. His whole life was motocross, so he lived bikes, he was at the racetrack. So in between me going to school and every weekend I would go down to Melbourne and be with him and follow him around the track. Robert decided to do something really crazy. He wanted to be the first guy in Australia to do a backflip on a motorbike. So he set out and I followed him, and he achieved that. So from overnight, he had a sponsorship deal, free motorbikes, free gear, you know, even I could walk into the shop and get anything that I wanted. He ended up going to the States in America to compete in the X Games, and he'd had a really bad crash over there, and we were told that he broke his back, and, you know, he came back to Australia and, you know, he was pretty much from doing everything now to in recovery. So it took, you know, 3 or 4 months to recover. Even though our life on the outside looked successful, it looked like we had everything, and somebody still reached out and asked us to go to church, and that's when God had intervened in that time, because our relationship was struggling. In fact, behind closed doors, we would fight a lot, and we really were struggling, and the pressures of the motocross, you know, that industry is really tough on a relationship. I really don't believe we would be together today if it wasn't for God stepping in. If you are struggling or in a dark place, God hears your cries. You know, at the time I didn't know that he heard mine, but he did. So this is our Evador warehouse where all the orders are packaged every day. So it's pretty surreal for me because I used to package all my products from home. That's how I started. So to see it, you know, where it's grown to this stage and see the girls, you know, coming every day and packaging products that I've actually created from home is amazing. Yep. That's fine. I would never imagine my life to be where it is today. If you were to go back and take a picture of me now with what I have and show me at the age of 14 or 15, I would have laughed and said, that's not me. God knows you better than you know yourself, so I would just say trust him and open up your world to him, and he can do a miracle.